Hi, I'm Gerard Salonga, and I will be conducting Film Music Legends, the scores of John Williams and Hans Zimmer. It's amazing music. John Williams and Hans Zimmer are two of the most prolific and memorable film composers in cinematic history. They are people who have actually been able to define what it means to be someone who composes music for film, and that's a very rare thing. And we'll be performing some of their most well-loved, most beautiful music that they've ever composed for the screen. It's different from the other concerts we've done with Film Concerts PH because there's no film. It's really a music concert where people will get to understand how well this music stands up, disembodied from the film. Usually we think of film scores as something that might only work when the visual component of the film is there. But this music that we've curated for this particular concert really stands up very, very well all alone without the need for context of the film. It's wonderful music all by itself. Well, they're separated somewhat by a generation in terms of time and the evolution of film music. But John Williams continued a tradition that was set long before he came into the scene as a composer. A tradition of symphonic film scores that was set by people like Bernard Herrmann, Korngold. There were these composers who came before Williams who had set this style of scoring films that he actually brought back with Steven Spielberg. Hans Zimmer evolved that. He started out doing things sort of like that and went his own way into blurring the line between music and sound design. You hear wonderful music, but you also hear sonic landscapes, that sort of territory that Zimmer was able to pioneer and sort of stretch out as a musician going into the world of sound design. And that's something that set him apart. Also the use of technology. He really changed the way that film composers compose music for films. John Williams represents an era where he would sketch things out at the piano and play some themes for Steven Spielberg at the piano. Hans Zimmer has the London Symphony Orchestra in his computer, and that has become the way people do it now. What did we want people to hear? What did we feel were representative of what the composers have done throughout their careers? Of course, you can't have a John Williams concert without Jurassic Park or E.T., any of the films that he won Academy Awards for example. We have both of Zimmer's Academy Awards with Dune and The Lion King. And when you hear the suite from The Lion King, you really have to admit, yes, he did deserve the Academy Award for that one. We really hear him as a musician. And that's probably why I like his score to The Lion King so much. You try to think about it from the audience's experience, also from the musician's perspective. There are pieces that are extremely tiring and need to be followed by something where the musicians can rest a little bit. That can be physically fatiguing for people. So you try to take all those things into consideration, as well as to give the entire half, for example, the first half and the second half, there has to be a sense of shape. You can't have 5 fast pieces in a row followed by 4 super slow pieces. So you try to balance everything out. Other than I've conducted film concerts that have John Williams music in it. I've conducted Raiders of the Lost Ark in concert, a couple of Star Wars already. I've conducted lots of Harry Potters. So I'm very familiar with his music. I've also done lots of John Williams tribute concerts. I've done lots of Hans Zimmer tribute concerts. I've also done a bunch of Hans Zimmer and John Williams together like this one. It's just music that I've spent a lot of time with, and I've grown with it, and I feel very close to these two great composers. Yeah, they're not easy. The musical challenges alone are quite high. As I said, John Williams' music can be very physically demanding for the music, whilst Hans Zimmer's music requires a lot of mental focus. It requires you to build for a very, very long period of time. It takes a lot of patience, that takes a lot of concentration. These are good tests. It's challenging for even the best professional orchestras. Many of the pieces that I've conducted in concert have been done so that the electronic components are absorbed into the orchestra. For Dune, yes, we'll hear an electric guitar. Yes, we will hear that solo voice, but most of everything else will be coming from the acoustic instruments of the orchestra. A lot of the scores that I have been able to source for Hans Zimmer concerts that I've done. They all tried to bring the music into an acoustic symphonic sort of realm rather than electronic. Yes, we will have to use a bit of synthesizers, but this will be mostly about the orchestra producing the sound. And that makes it pretty interesting. I really make no distinction. I prepare the same. I try to dive into the music the same way. The only difference really is that people know these scores more than they would know classical music. Of course, it depends on where you are. There are places, of course, where the classical repertoire is more well known than John Williams or Zimmer's. But to me, really, there's no difference. It's great music. It's worth every bit of effort that I can give it. I saw an interview of several members of the London Symphony Orchestra, which is the orchestra that played Star Wars, right? These were people who are in their 20s, 30s now. And they said that they started their instrument because they heard the Star Wars score. And now they're playing in the orchestra that played it. So it's for them, it's like a really big deal. So if you talk to film composers, they'll for sure say the name of John Williams and Hans Zimmer. People tell me they explored the symphonic repertoire because of the scores of John Williams. John Williams cites classical composers so much when he talks about the music that he's been inspired by. So for a lot of people, it is a great entry point into the world of symphonic music. It just so happened that we first experience it while watching a film. A lot of people are made curious of the symphonic repertoire because of the music of Williams and even Zimmer. You hear very much the influence of the music he must have heard as a kid in Germany growing up. And he trained a lot of people. Look who came out of that team. Ramin Djawadi, the guy who composed Game of Thrones. Harry Gregson Williams, who did Lion, Witch and Wardrobe, Narnia. Steve Jablonsky, who did all the Transformers films. Klaus Badelt, who did Pirates of the Caribbean. They were all his assistants before. Hi everybody, my name is Gerard Salonga and I'm inviting you to join me, the Philharmonica Orchestra, and the fabulous Between Escalante for Film Music Legends, the scores of John Williams and Hans Zimmer. January 14th and 15th, 2026, 8 p.m. at the theater at Solaire. You can find your tickets at ticketworld.com.ph. Please visit filmconcerts.ph on their socials for more information. See you all there very soon.